Hello, everyone. Welcome to a live stream. Oh wow, I'm huge. How am I this big? Wow. Ah, great. All right. Well, we're doing a live stream. This is our first live stream for Sidebar Summer, which is our summer event, and hopefully today we're going to have a couple of attendees who are going to join us on this stream, and we're going to build a sidebar from scratch. And specifically, what we're doing is we're creating a sidebar that helps people remember or better deal with Airtable formulas. And if you don't know what Airtable is a no code platform that allows you to uh, basically use a spreadsheet as a database, but also do many things such as connect data sources that feed directly into Airtable. They allow you to manipulate data. It's a good solution if you're not too code savvy, or at least you don't want to deal with real databases. And the beauty of Pixie Bricks is that it allows people who are also using Airtable to be able to do things faster, right? So the whole motto of Pixie Bricks is that we want to make sure that you can use the web and services and websites and all the platforms in the way that works for you. So we want to make sure that you can uh, use those platforms efficiently, so you can customize your experience when you're on there. Hi, Todd. I just saw your message. Welcome to the stream. So thanks for showing up today. So, all right. I think I'm going to start sharing my camera, my desktop, and let's get started from there. All right. So, share my screen. Here we go. Now, hopefully, I set everything up so that you can see me. Actually, I'm going to put myself small. There you go. So let's refresh this page. So this is my Airtable account. I have a couple of Airtable bases. This is what bases look like. It's basically like spreadsheets, but they look more like database, right? So there's a lot of options you have here, and it's very simple to use. Actually, I'll be honest. It's simple to use this tool, and it's a great addition to the no code ecosystem. So what I want to build is I will click on the Pixie Bricks extension button here, and we're going to build a sidebar that looks like this. So it's got the Airtable logo. It's got a description of what this is. I apologize for the colors, but I just wanted to do some colors that would, you know, stand out. And then basically you can have buttons and you can have information that repeats. As you can see, this is it's like this section here is like a card, and you can basically look like, what is this formula? This is a conditional statement formula, and it tells you first how it works. It gives you an example, and then it shows you what the formula is like. And then there is a button here that says copy to clipboard. And when you do that, you basically copy it to the clipboard. And then if you go ahead and add a formula row, let's see, here's that, we call this a formula, and then we pick a formula here, and then you can paste it directly here. And now you can do if 1 is bigger than 2, return the value of not true, which is, and then something else. I don't know. So now we expect 1 bigger than 2, it's false. So we should see something else being added to this amazing table. And let's see. So I created it. So as you can see, as it creates it, you can see this is similar to Excel. These formulas are similar to Excel. All right, it's having a little struggle here, creating a simple formula, but let's give it a refresh. All right, let's try again. Okay. All right, save it. So in a second, it probably will update this formula, and it will show up something. So like here we can do, and you can also use fields, like perhaps you have a value in another field here. Like, so we have like field, I don't know, call it like 1, and it's a single line of text, create a field, and we say true. There you go, it picked it up. So if you have true, then you can use the value that it's in this column called 1, and then you can use it by using this brackets here. So you can say 1 with a curly braces. If 1 is bigger than 2, return true, not true, otherwise something else, which can be confusing, but as you can see, it's something else. So anyways, this was to show you just a quick overview of Airtable. I'm not an Airtable guru yet. I love using Airtable, but let's focus on our sidebar now that you know why we need formulas to make your data entry and your data management more dynamic. So this is what it looks like. It's got multiple cards of information. Let's go ahead and remove this from Pixibricks and build it from scratch together. And if there are any questions in the chat, I will take them at the end. So let's go and inspect and go here under Pixibricks. As you've seen, I've right-clicked in the page and I call up inspect, and then there's the Pixibricks tab. And now I have this Airtable side panel. We're gonna remove this so we don't cheat. And then I'm gonna add a new sidebar panel extension. And we're gonna give this extension a name, and we call it the Airtable formulas. We're also gonna give it a heading. The heading is the name that you have up here, airtable.com side panel. We wanna replace this with Airtable formulas. And then let's put an emoji because we like a little sparkle in our lives, and it looks beautiful just like that. So now if I go ahead and I render the panel with this button, you can see that it picked up my changes and it's automatically adding it to the sidebar. So let's go ahead and save this here. Okay, let me quickly check the chat if there are any questions. No questions. Okay, cool. So as you can see, when I've added a sidebar panel to the Pixibricks page editor, it added 2 bricks, right? It added the sidebar panel, which I can configure to set, like a heading, the name of the extension, and other options like on which side it should run on and what should trigger the refresh or the load of the panel. But it also added a render document brick. And this render document brick has basically all the pieces necessary to build your sidebar. Another thing I want to do here, I saved it, by the way. So I'm going to close it, and hopefully the other Airtable side panel should unload. Let's see, still here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is close this, refresh, and then hopefully it's gone. Yes, it's gone. Awesome. So let's reopen the page editor, right click, inspect Pixibricks, go back to this extension that I just created. So as I was mentioning, you have all the pieces you need to create a sidebar through the render document brick. And this render document brick, it's extremely important to know how to use it. So for example, I can click on an element in the render document preview panel here, and I can access it so I can configure it. So here we're gonna call this like Airtable formulas cheat sheet. And then I can also change the type of the text size by providing a Bootstrap class. If you're not familiar with Bootstrap classes, utilities, you can click on this button and it will open a new tab and it will show you a little bit of the utilities that you can use. So I know for a fact that I'm going to use an H4, so it's a small piece of text. And then I can show you, now you can see that if I there's this button here, auto render. If I enable it, every time I do a change here, let's assume I put an exclamation mark, it will also show me in the actual sidebar what it looks like. Yeah, awesome. I can also change the color of text or elements in my sidebar by clicking this button, and maybe I want to give it a primary color. And now Airtable Formulas cheat sheet is highlighted with a background color of blue. And I can make the text white so it looks better. And as I change things, I'm also seeing them rendered in real time on the panel, which is awesome. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to add an image. So how do we add an image? Well, here you can see you have this 3-dot menu around here. So here, for example, I have a uh, column list, means I can split this row into two columns. I have ability to add a new row in this container, or I can add an element, what I call an element, inside a row. So here we want to add an image. So now we have an image here, and the image is a placeholder, there's nothing. And as you can see, when I tap on an element, I can choose where to put the element. So here, for example, I'm going to move the element above. So now I have an image that's ideally going to sit above my text Airtable formulas cheat sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and like Google, and I'm going to type Airtable logo. All right, let's find a logo to put on there. I'll click on the first one I find. Uh, okay, this one looks good. Or this one, but I will take this one, right? It's a simple one. Actually, oh yeah, this one's good. Right click. Oh, here we go. Right click on this, and if you, I'll copy the image address. It's always good to to attribute work to the people who are doing the work. So we can add a little text at the end, logo by that website. But for now, I'm just going to paste the URL here. As you can see, I can also, it shows up, and I can also give it a height. So I can say I want it larger. Maybe I want 75 pixels by default. It's not bad. Or you can have it larger, 100 pixels. It looks good. So let's keep it to that. And then now let's move on to basically, yeah, let's change this text. This text says example text element, but we want to change this to be something else. We want to say uh, quickly copy and paste Airtable formulas as you need them. This is giving a little background of why we're doing this extension. And I don't like this color. I'm going to make the color default, which is black. And now, this is what it looks like. It looks pretty neat. Now we need to figure out how to add these formulas that I had shown before in the extension, so that you can have them as little rectangles and then a button that you can copy. So how do we do that? So we need to go back into the container in the render document brick, and we want to add a row, because that's how it's going to look. And inside the row, we basically have to create, we have a column, and we have a list. We're going to create inside this, we can create inside the column, sorry, we can create a list. And inside the list, this is a special element. It's going to ask us for a data source, and it's going to be an array of data. And then what is going to happen is, with this brick, we're going to be able to reference every single item into the array as a single element. And that's why it's asking us, what do you want to call the element key? And we can call this a formula, because we're going to have multiple formulas. And then the other thing that it's going to ask us is, what kind of item are we going to iterate over, or iterate? Iterate, iterate. Anyways, the item type, it's going to be a card. And a card can also itself be customized to have a header and to have a body. And the body that we're going to do is actually multiple parts. It's multiple pieces of text. So I'm just going to add a placeholder text for a second. Let's go back to our list element here. So this list element needs an array, and an array can simply be added by adding a brick and then looking for JQ JSON processor and adding this to our branch. So this list of bricks, right, makes what we call our main branch of execution. And we're going to have a filter inside it. And here filter is just like, what do you want JQ to like output? So I'm going to cheat here a second. First, I'm going to save this extension. I'm going to go and pick up from my previous extension, which is this one out here. I'm going to go and inspect it. Oh, there we go. And I'm going to take this huge piece of text right here. There we go. I'm going to hide it again. And I'm going to go and paste it inside the filter. So what does that do? So this one, we created a huge array that has a couple of objects. Each one of these objects has different key and values. So you can see it has name, description, it has example, and it has a command. So all this like information we're going to use in our cards so that as we iterate over this array of values, we can take out different pieces of information to show in the card, right? So let's start doing just that. So we're going to change the name of the output here to formulas with an S. And then we're going to the render document brick. And we're going to say our array is actually called at formulas. You can see it up here. And now it created for each element in the array its little card. The little card though, this card here does not have any information from formulas because we need to add that in. And we're going to add it by referencing this element key called add formula. So each one of these cards, I repeat myself, will have a formula key variable that we can access. And obviously formula is basically an object. So a formula is basically this, it's also this, etc., etc., etc. every time depending on which card we're going to be on. So let's go ahead and add header, and we're going to replace this with curly brackets, add formula, and then name. And we close the curly brackets because the first part here, name, is the name of our command or our card. And as you can see, as I did that, it created one little card with a nice header for each single card that I have in the array, every single object in my array. And now we want to show a little bit more information, right? We want to show, for example, the description. So I added the paragraph text earlier. So I'm going to write description, and I'm going to add an emoji because I like emojis. The description for this formula, the first formula is conditional statements. I'm going to go and say curly brackets at formula again, and then it's going to be the description, this value here. So it's going to return the value for that key from the array. As I build it, there we go. Now we have a description for each one of them, and it changes, right? It's pretty nice. And you can have this to be as long, this formula is as long or as short as you want it. Here I have like over 5 elements, but you could have 3, you could have 15, you could have 50, maybe 100. Then it would get kind of hard to like scroll down, and we would have to like add some kind of filtering system, but that's probably for another time. Another element we want to add here is an example. So I'm going to add yet and again another text element inside the card, and it gets added at the bottom. I click on it, and then I change it here, and I go example. And then let's see if you can guess it. It's curly brackets at formula dot example. Let's see. Did I guess the variable right? Yes. So as you can see, every time I iterate over the card, it shows my different example. And again, it's picked from the formula up here. It's pretty awesome. Let's add an emoji. And this time is the L example is a little lightning bolt. It's pretty awesome. Very cool. And now we want to add another element. So we have the description, we have the example, we need the actual, the formula. So let's add another text. Click on it to activate it. Let's type formula. We add emoji because we like emojis. What emoji are we going to add? Sparkles. Yes, sparkles indeed. And now we're using formula, and we're going to do add formula dot, and I think the name of that key, the key is command. Now we should have the description, example, and a formula. Perfect. So the formula is cool because you can copy paste it and paste it into into here manually like that. Well, not like that technically. You should do it in the formula field, right? Like here, you double click, and then you double click, and then you paste it down here, right? We don't want to do that. Don't save. But there is a better way, and thanks to Pixibricks, we can do just that. We can add a button to every single card that takes the formula and copies it to the clipboard. So how do we do that? Well, let's go ahead and click here, add an element, add a button. By default, it says action. Click on the button, and as you see, as I created a button, it added a second branch. This thing here, it comes out of the render document brick. It says, hey, you've added a button. And that button has no output, it doesn't do anything. So first of all, let's configure the button, and then let's make it do something. So action is actually copy formula to clipboard. And you can change colors here. Select from this drop-down select, and you can see these this nice styling options that appear. So let's pick light, and then you can also select sizes. If you select here and you go, I want the size to be small, so it's a small button. There you go. Perfect. Looks great. Actually, I'll change the color to info so it stands out. And as I change it, it changes in real time because I have auto render activated. And now we need the button to actually have an action or like to be able a command to do something, right? Because if I click it, nada. So press the brick, add a brick, and copy to clipboard. It's going to be the brick that we're going to use because we want to pass a value to then be copied to the clipboard. So I'm going to say add. And the text here is coming from the render document because we're part in this world right now. So it's going to be at formula dot command. And what's happening here is I'm basically telling this brick copy to clipboard to basically go and read the formula statement here, this formula, string, and store it in my clipboard. So if I save everything and let's see, let's delete the URL here and say, hello world. I copy this, so it's in my clipboard. Yep. And if I click this button, it should replace hello world with something. Yep, it changed hello world with the formula that I had selected. So this is very cool, but we want to make it a little bit cooler by adding an alert. And if I add an alert, what happens is I can show the user that something has run, right? So add message, formula copied to clipboard. So now when I run and click the button, it's going to do two things. It's going to copy it, and then it's going to tell me formula copy to clipboard. Perfect. And it goes away after 2,500 milliseconds, which is awesome. All right, let's save this. This is very good so far. Now I want to show you two things. I want to show you how to make your sidebar look a little bit better, and I want to add a button that you can add to do another action outside of this branch. All right, so let's do that. The first thing is, let's add the button. So I go click on the render document, and I go down here. So here I have my list that obviously I only see the first element, but it iterates as we've seen from here. It iterates over all the elements into the array that we passed it, the at formulas array. But now we want to add another row. So let's select container. Let's add row. In here, row, we have a column now. And inside the column, we want to add a header 3, for example, and we want to add a button. So first I click on the header and I say, need help with your formulas? Ask Twitter. So if I scroll down, need help with your formulas? Ask Twitter. Perfect. And the button, instead of action, is like tweet for help. So we're going to make a button that when you click it, it's going to go ahead and open a new tab and compose a tweet to help you ask for help really quickly on Twitter for maybe you have a question about a formula. So let's add an emoji here, a little birdie. Oh, there is a birdie. It was already here. I like birds. They're very smart. Here we go. So need help with your formula, ask Twitter. And now, as you see, as I added this button, just like before, I can change the color, the size, etc., etc. Let's change the color. Let's make it like that. Tweet for help, and then it added this sub branch here, the button. I can go and press add, and I'm going to add a new brick. I want to open a URL in a new tab. So I'm going to add a brick, and when I click tweet for help, it's going to open a new tab with the URL that's Twitter, twitter.com, HTTPS. And then I want to add parameters. I want the tweet to open and have something written automatically. So I add this object properties. So this adds a key value element. And I need to add two properties. The first one is text. And the value is some default value like, hey, at Airtable world, I need help with my formula, ... And then you can auto-complete it. And then I think I need to add intent. I'm not 100% sure, but let's try it. So let's save this. And then if I click this button, what I expect is open a new tab because I've added the brick, open a new tab, and it should auto tweet for help, but not send a tweet. Oh, I made a mistake here. Okay, let's see what the actual URL is. Uh, I don't have a, here we go. Down here, what was it? Oh, it's intent tweet. Sorry. All right, my bad. The good thing that I came prepared because I had my little lookup table myself, right? Through the bricks. So the URL is intent tweet, and then I have text and Airtable. Okay, let's save it. Tweet for help, opens a new tab, and there we go. Hey, Airtable world, I need help with my formula. And there it goes, right? Isn't that incredible? And now you could say, I need a formula that, I don't know, like takes a string of 30 characters and cuts it down to 12, something like that. Thank you. And then eventually, hopefully, if everything goes well in the universe, someone will reach out and tell you what the formula is. There's a lot of people on Twitter that are in love with Airtable. And hopefully they love Pixie Bricks too, because we're building this for all the people out there who want to learn more about Airtable. So now we've built this button here, and it works. We've tested it. The only thing that's left to do before I go and chat with the chat in the stream is I want to make my sidebar look a little bit better. So how do we do that? Let's go back to the render document brick, and let's add some margins between the cards. So I go here, I click on the card. You see, I clicked on it. And I want to add a padding or margin. Actually, I want to add some margin. So I'm going to click 1, maybe 2. Actually, I'll make it 3. And as you see, as I add margin, it adds space between the cards, so it's easier to read. I can also add some margin in between the text. So I can add 1 here, then select the other element, add another margin, and a little bit more margin. There you go. You can add more, you can add less, you can add padding as well. There we go. So it looks a little bit better. Or I can add 3 perhaps. See what happens. Yeah. Another thing that you can do is you can automatically add margin here. So I know that one of the Bootstrap utility classes is add margin to the bottom is MB and then dash a number. So that only adds margin to the bottom, just like that. So MB3 is where it's at. Boom, boom. And I replace the initial margin. Perfect. So now it looks a little bit better. And it applies it obviously to all the cards. And there you have it. This is my Airtable formula cheat sheet sidebar. And it allows me, if I close the editor, to basically use it as I'm using Airtable, as I'm learning, as I'm doing things. And I can just click here and I get the formula in my clipboard, and I go ahead and I can paste it into the formula field. And I have the formula right there. I don't even have to remember how to write it. And the good thing is you can customize this cheat sheet sidebar to have as many, like I said, as many formulas as you have. All you have to do is place them into their own object in the array and have a description, the example text, the formula command, and the name. And then you can add 50, 10, 1,000, and there you have it. So hopefully you liked this build. I think this is a very good one, and you can use this to create these kind of cheat sheets for any platform you desire. Maybe you're not an Airtable fan, maybe you are a Notion fan and you forget how to do certain things in Notion, then you can use the same approach to do that. So anyways, let's go back to the world of, all right. With Pixibricks, can you get data info from an API instead of hard coding the information? Yes, you can totally do that. There is a brick that's called the HTTP request, and you can basically call an API to return that information to you, and then it's available to you in whichever shape the API responded it as. But you can modify it to be an array, or be an object, or something else. Another thing you can use in Pixibricks, which I really want to use, is the Pixibricks database. Maybe in the next build, I'm going to talk about databases. And I think the advantage of using a database in Pixibricks is the fact that you can collaborate with other people. So you can push data to a database and then it stays in the database. So when other people use your sidebar, if you push new data to the database, so for example, maybe new formulas, you will have more formulas over time. So you need to build two things. First, a way to push data to the database, to the Pixibricks database. And usually you can just build a new extension that opens a form model in the middle of your screen and says, hey, what's the new formula? And then you run that, and then that takes that data that you just added to the model and it saves it to the database. It appends it at the bottom. And then using the sidebar, instead of having that JQ array of elements, you basically grab the data from the database with the get data from database, from Pixibricks database, it's what it's called, brick, and then you can take that data and put it in your sidebar. Sorry, another question from Siddhant. Hey, Siddhant, thanks for joining the stream. First of all, the question is how to automatically get push notification from a website every time a link gets uploaded to it. How to get a push notification from a website every time. So you would have to have a Pixibricks trigger extension that refreshes the page or something, and then you would look for what is the latest file that's been uploaded, and then it would be able to notify you. Maybe not really a push notification, but maybe it could do a sound. We actually support having sounds in Pixibricks, or it could send you an email. The one gotcha for that is that you probably have to have Pixibricks in the foreground at all times, so that the automation can run on your tab. So it doesn't really work in the background. I'm not sure. I've never actually built a background Pixibricks extension, and I don't think it's possible. But maybe I'm wrong. So, but that's a good question. Um, that's how I would build it. So it would be a page trigger, refreshes the page, and it checks for a certain element on the page, store that element into the state of the page or into the actually the state, no, because the state would would disappear, right? So you probably have to store it in a database, but we offer that for free, right? Like you just use the push data to a Pixibricks database, which is free for anyone to use, and then you basically retrieve what element was the last one in the database, and if it matches the last one on the page, then no files have been uploaded. But if it doesn't match, it means that there's a new page a new file uploaded to the page. So it's kind of tricky, but it can definitely be built. Again, I think the gotcha is that your page needs to be open on your browser at all times for this to run. Oh, apparently it does. Pixibricks does support running triggers in the background, but Chrome sometimes will unload and pause run tabs that aren't active. Yeah. So that's why it's better to have it on an active tab. That's what I do. I always use Pixibricks in the active tab all the time. Let's see. Any other questions? Also, yeah, please join our Slack community if you have questions like this one. We can all kind of get together as a hive mind, right? As getting together and like trying to give you the best answer. The world of Pixibricks is pretty large, so there's a lot of options and different ways to do the same thing as well. So maybe one thing that I think is done in this way, maybe you can also do it in this way and maybe in that way. So that's pretty beautiful. All right, let's see if there are any other questions. If not, I'm gonna end this stream on this amazing note. And the call to action is again, please install Pixibricks. Please join our Slack community. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks for joining us on the stream this morning. It's saved, and therefore you will be able to review the stream later. If I went too fast, you will be able to pause the stream and be able to do step by step by stopping and pausing and replaying over and over whichever section you might have missed. Yeah, thank you, Todd. Thanks for being in the chat. Thanks for always being there and providing help. Thank you, Sidant, and anyone else. I will now end the stream, and I'll see you next week. But next week it's on a Wednesday as opposed to a Monday or a Tuesday. So yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day.